I was 13 when I went to Mexico.
Hi, I'm Jill Sale and I was 14 in Mexico.
Hi, I'm Chris Lockwood and I was 15 when we went to Mexico.
Okay, Lyra wants to know, what age did you start playing, and did you play football in the playground at school?
Yes. Hi Lyra, I certainly did, I think we all did, play football at school when I was about 5 with the boys in the playground, and that's what gave me my love of football. And I continued to play with the boys at the park, and then I joined a women's football club at the age of 11, which was Chiltern Valley.
Yeah, I started playing. I wasn't allowed to play at school. I was allowed to kick the ball around in the playground, but there wasn't any girls' teams, or you couldn't even join in with the boys at school. But I joined a boys' team when I was about 8, and had to pretend to be a boy called Billy. And but when they realised I was a girl, then they wouldn't let me play. So yeah, but any opportunity I'd get, I'd play just with my brothers or friends out on the field near my house. So, but at school, no, it wasn't allowed then.
Yeah, with me, my love of football came because I had a lot of boy cousins and used to play football. And then when I went to infant and junior school, I was allowed to play. And my dad was on night shift. I used to get up early in the morning, wait for him to come home, and then I'd get the ball, go down to the school and wait for the caretaker to open the school gates so I could kick around. And then when the headmaster left to lock the gates, I'd stop playing at night in the evening. And then when I went to senior school, I wasn't allowed to play it at all. So I used to play in the evenings after school with the boys, and then somebody told me about a girls' football team. I didn't even know another girl played football, and then I joined a girls' team that weren't that very good at playing, but so I played there for a while, and then Chiltern Valley heard about me and they had experienced players, and I played for them, and that's where I first met Leah.
Okay, Gabriella would like to know, what are your favourite memories of that time of the World Cup, and what got you into football? So we've kind of talked about what got you into football. You started it at school, but what were your favourite memories at the time?
What, just about Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the whole experience, the fun of... It started with watching Manchester United play Luton Town the night before we flew out to Mexico, because they came down for a friendly, and from there we all met at Harry Batt's house, and we went down to Heathrow, and the whole experience, the first time on an aeroplane, coming off the aeroplane, the just being together, learning new things, hearing a different language, people excited to see us. It was 5 weeks of just pure learning and fun, and everything was laid on for us, so we were spoiled. It was just quite an incredible. I loved our training at 7:30 in the morning. It was fantastic. We were up and out and training.
Yeah, it was a different world altogether to what we'd known. I mean, people didn't really fly that much then. I mean, it's the first plane I'd been on, and the jumbo jet had only been flying a year anyway, so you can imagine what the times were like. No telephones, no mobile phones or internet or anything like that. So you went out there, and if you didn't write home, your parents didn't hear from you, which mine didn't hear from me.
Mine did.
Leah
I
was
did.
a good girl.
I
She
wrote
did.
2 letters.
Did you write to everyone's parents?
Yeah.
Jill's fine.
Yeah.
Chris is okay.
As the youngest of the squad, I probably but I
The
did.
more mature.
And my mum kept my 2 letters, which I now have, which is lovely.
Yeah, that's good. But a real massive experience at that age that we went. So
Yeah, I think we didn't know what we were expecting, and we just had to take it in our stride. And I think a lot of people have heard this, but as I say, when we got there, we were just ordinary people that love football, young, and we got there, and when we got there, it was instant stardom. The TVs were there, the press were there, they followed us everywhere, we were invited places, and the nicest thing I remember are just the genuine people, like they used to try and stop our bus getting somewhere and then hand little gifts through the windows to us, and they were poor, but just a little gift they wanted to give us, and and so I'll never forget how the kindness of people, and I've found that. I've travelled ever since, and I've always found that no matter what country you go to, you'll find people that are kind, and people are lovely everywhere.
Something that I think kind of summed up how much you were not expecting what was about to happen was what happened when you were landing on the plane. Chris, your comment?
Oh yeah. Little did I know at the time, but we were very tired when we got there because we'd had to change the flight. We'd flown to New York and stayed 7 hours at the airport and then got on the plane to Mexico. And we got there and the doors opened. It was late at night and there was all these lights in our faces. And I just said to one of the girls, I think there's someone famous on the plane. And I didn't know it was us. I didn't know, and none of us knew.
None of us.
It was
None
us.
of us knew.
And I can only sum up the whole experience. Really, was like if you know Oscar Wilde, and you're in the gutter looking at the stars. And when we got to Mexico, we reached the stars, and then when we come home, we were back in the gutter again because there was nobody to meet us, and we were banned. So so it was like touching something that we wish for all women football players, and I hope that they get, now they're achieving it.
Yeah, they are achieving, yeah.
I think the biggest memory that comes now as well, Chris saying about kindness, was coming back having lost our game to Mexico, and in the hotel they had this banner for us where they said, you've lost the game but you've won the heart of Mexico. And the staff at the hotel were just incredible, and the public, everybody embraced us and we seemed to gel with people. So I'd agree.
Yeah, they cried when
the
we left.
kindness, the caring.
My mum cried when I
of
come
them.
home.
Get back out.
Very special.
What you do?
Yeah, it's a totally different
Very
world
special.
as regards to our football. I mean, we'd never seen crowds or known anything like it, and the adoration that all the teams got in that tournament. You just didn't think it was possible for a women's tournament to be so popular.
We didn't know we were going to go in the Aztec.
We did not, we didn't know that. So to have that,
The commercialism was amazing.
So
It was amazing.
You touched on it a little bit there, Chris, but for people that obviously don't know the story, basically you went out in September 17,
September.
there for a month playing the World Cup, and like you said, you were celebrities out there. It was massive for everyone in Mexico. You've got newspaper cuttings, you're on the TV. Can you just talk a little bit about what it was like when you got back?
Me first?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we came back, another tiring flight home, and we got to Heathrow, and there was one photographer, but he was particularly there to take a picture of two of the girls that got injured, because they got plaster casts on their legs, and there was nothing. And then we played for a little while, and then we found out that we got banned because we'd been, and the younger ones got banned for 3 months, the older for 6 months, and Harry Batt had a lifetime ban.
And that's the
Coach.
FA that.
Yeah, from the FA, and
The WFA.
yeah,
FA then, yeah.
and yeah, and some of the, apart from, we three were lucky because we were young. We took it on the chin with the ban, and ended up playing for teams that Harry's team got disbanded, so we ended up playing for teams that belonged to the FA, and so we overrode it. But some of the girls, we never saw them again for 50 years, and some of them never played again. And some tried and gave up because they were hurt, or they found
And
it
some
difficult.
naturally, they
Yeah.
got married, they had
Yeah.
children, and didn't come back to football after they'd had their children. So you had a mix of
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody, those that played,
Yeah.
those that didn't, those that had families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason that happened, according to the Women's Football Association, is because England hadn't put a team forward for the World Cup. So Harry, your manager. Coach, did put a team forward. He got a team together and took
Yeah,
a team
and
to
he-
represent England.
well,
Yeah.
it took us out as British independence
Okay.
because there was this row
Mm.
about it, which we were oblivious to because we were
We
too
didn't,
young.
no.
We
Yeah.
didn't know. So he took us as British independence, and if he hadn't have took a team anyway, nobody would have gone. It wasn't as though there was a team there to go.
No.
Yeah.
So he took us, but when we got there, they called us Inglaterra,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was it.
In their eyes, we were England,
Yeah.
and
Because you
Harry,
Yeah.
we were,
Yeah.
and Harry had previously taken in 1970 a team to Italy, which would have come under the same guise as British independence, but they were equally called Inglaterra, and that was the first Women's World Cup, and he'd taken a team in '69 also to Italy to the European Cup. So it was part of his legacy for women's football that he took teams abroad
Yeah.
on a big stage, and
But
he
nothing
opened the
came of it.
door, and unfortunately too many people closed it.
Yeah. Until probably the 90s.
Yeah.
From the 70s to the 90s, it was a wilderness, really. There was lip service to the women's game, but there was no funding much. Nothing really happened.
I think if
Yeah.
if they'd have taken Harry's connections on at that time, so a springboard from Mexico, that should have opened doors and the floodgates for the women's game to take off in England. But because he was banned for life, and it just trundled along. It didn't really go anywhere, like you say, for what was it, 20 years?
Yeah.
30 years, yeah.
And also, it's quite sad that the final, Denmark and Mexico, was played in front of 110,000 people. Now that's a record, but people say it isn't.
Yeah.
But that's
it's a
sad for the
fact.
girls that played, isn't it?
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Women played in the Aztec Stadium in front of crowds, the biggest being 110,000.
Which
And-
is a big crowd.
A big
And that is something that will never be
And that-
beaten because stadiums aren't built for that
That big
capacity.
anymore.
No. So,
It's a quite incredible story.
Yeah.
And then when you did get back and you got your bands, you lost touch, really. The whole team lost touch, and it took a while for you to get back together.
Yeah.
Everybody, because Chiltern Valley was disbanded as well, it meant that we played for other clubs,
Yeah.
some of us, but like Jill already played over at Aylesbury for Thames, so not everybody played for Chiltern Valley, but the decisions over the years, like Chris and I stayed at Luton Daytales, and we were then asked to go and join Aylesbury with Tina, another player who played for Harry many years before.
And Jill was there.
And Jill played at Aylesbury, and it was Jill's father that asked us to go. So that meant Jill, Chris and I were united playing for Aylesbury United.
That was about 6 years later, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Five, 6 years.
Yeah.
And we never talked about it to each
No,
other
we didn't, did we?
No.
because we don't know why, but we think that because we thought it was wrong, we shut ourselves down and we didn't talk about it. Although our families and friends might say it to someone, we would never mention it. So, yeah. And now we keep saying it a lot.
Yeah, good, as it should be. Ramona would like to know, what was it like playing in front of so many people, and did it put extra pressure on you?
Thank you for your question, Ramona. I think because we were so young, we weren't so aware of that massive crowd, although it was loud and it was hot and it was huge in a massive environment. We probably hadn't understood the magnitude of that game. What do you think?
Yeah, it was the noise was the most that we noticed. As I say, we'd never played in such a stadium. It was always on park pitches, and yeah, the noise of the crowd was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, deafening actually.
Yeah, that you could only hear your thoughts, you couldn't hear a person near you. Jill's next to me now, if she spoke to me I wouldn't hear her. So it was the only thing you had were your own thoughts. Whereas on a park pitch we could shout to each other, and it did make a big difference because we were like, we didn't have that communication. So yeah, but never realised it until it happened.
I take it that was the biggest crowd you ever played in front of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You didn't have 85,000 on the park.
No.
Didn't have 8. That was including the manager. Yeah.
And the subs.
And the subs.
Yeah.
8 subs. You
You
only allowed
used
one.
to get somebody walking along, walking their dog, and they'd stop and look, and
We did
quite often they enjoyed it.
I
Yeah.
think we did have a small following
we
of
did.
Yeah, in
people,
Aylesbury we did.
Yeah, we did
yeah,
in
it's,
Aylesbury.
Yeah.
a few hardy ones would stand on the sideline, but yeah, just your regulars really.
Yeah,
Same.
friends.
She said, what was the hardest game you ever played?
Good question.
That's a good cat. In Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would think Mexico themselves, although Argentina was very difficult and we didn't know what to expect, and it was a very physical game.
Yeah.
Would you say
so-
Mexico?
Yeah, but Argentina was the first game, so that was a bit of a christening, shall we say. But both games equally were hard because they were South American and they were used to the altitude more, and we didn't know we were going to play in such a vast stadium. And against Mexico there was 85,000 people, so that made it even more intense.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary Kate would like to know, were the girls treated differently than the boys in football, and was it classed as a men's sport?
Mary Kate, perfect question, and absolutely it was always classed more as a men's sport, and it was always little girls don't play football or women don't play football, and it was purely because we were very young when we learnt to play that we just loved playing football. It was irrelevant whether you were a boy or a girl, it was just good fun, you learnt skills, you met people, you had great teammates, so you had to sort of ignore some of the nonsense that surrounded whether it was a boys' game or a girls' game.
Yeah, I found that the lads that used to live around near us, they just accepted me as one of the team, you know, as one of the lads type of thing. And so I've got 4 brothers, and we always used to be out playing anyway. But yeah, you would get a bit of opposition from some people thinking, well, you know, it's not the right thing for a girl to play. But as it's proven now that anyone can play,
Yeah,
you know, it's open to all now.
it was nearly always negativity from people that didn't even like the game. It was never anybody that liked the game never. I can't think of an occasion where someone who loved football, male or female, thought we were doing a bad thing.
Yeah.
And people that tried to stop us was some hierarchy somewhere. Yeah, I don't know why they did, because
Which we may come on to later.
yeah,
Yeah, I just,
Okay.
it's just, if you're saying about, you know, did the boys mind all that playing?
the boys did.
The boys didn't.
No,
It was, they used to come and knock the door, say, is Jill coming out to play football? Well, you know, they could say, who's my brother, you know, one of my brothers, but it was saying, oh, Jill coming out to play football. So,
Yeah.
as I say, they just treated us as just one of the team, one of the kids having a kickabout, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they were
love of the
supportive.
Yeah.
Boys that you played football with,
Mm.
even older boys, and as you grew up, men that watched and enjoyed watching
Yeah.
the game, they were always supportive. So it's true what Chris said. It's a lack of understanding that it's a sport. It wasn't about whether it should be a boy or a girl.
No.
The next question is from my mum, Babs. Did you always know you wanted to play football, or did you just kind of fall into it by chance?
Hi Babs. Well, that's a good question because I didn't start playing football till I was about 5, but it was in the school playground where there was just a small playground and the boys all played football and the girls were hit with the ball. So I naturally, and a couple of other girls, so it wasn't just me, joined in with the boys, but I found that I was naturally sporty and therefore I just enjoyed it. So I became a natural footballer with the boys.
Yeah.
Who knows if I hadn't have had that experience as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, yeah, same. I just, as a tomboy anyway, so I'd be out on the green there playing, kicking the ball about with everybody, as I said. But any sport, I'd used to do any sport anyway. Used to just love sport. So, but football's always been my first love. You know, it's always been the one that I've wanted to do all the time, and say all my spare time was taken up with that. But at school, on sports days, I'd do any sport going, be in any team. But football's always been the one that's I've carried on through until I couldn't do it anymore, basically.
Yeah, with me it was just football. I just love football, nothing else. You know, obviously you had to do some things, but when I was in senior school, a couple of times I couldn't help it and I kicked the ball and I got sent back to the dressing room, so I didn't do sport because I was in the dressing room. So,
As in, you were not allowed to kick it because you weren't allowed to play football.
No.
So when you did, you got sent back.
yeah, and I did knock someone over once. But
Kicking the netball was something you didn't do. So
But it's
you,
hard not to do.
no,
So-
it's hard. You know when it comes
so it is hard
volley
not
height
to
and you
do.
think,
Yeah.
I'm going to wallop this. And I
Yeah.
did.
You had to embrace all the other sports, and like Jill
Well,
said,
I just
I
didn't
did.
like them, so
I enjoyed any sport.
yeah, I didn't.
But football always remained the first
Yeah.
passion.
Right. Question from Angelina. Who was the wildest in the group?
Oh my word, Leah.
Wild. Yeah, well, yes,
I
I'd
guess
say,
there was a few wild ones.
yeah.
But
If you,
That's what the wild one says.
Yeah, yeah.
Few of us.
there was the older girls. Yeah, what? Nobody was wild though out there.
well, yeah, we had a laugh at times. We were all happy,
Yeah.
and some of the girls were in the RAF, so we sang all the time.
Yeah, as a team, we'd
Yeah.
on the bus you'd sing all sorts of songs.
And we might play tricks on each other. And
Yeah.
maybe I might have been worse than some. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
At the age
because
of 15, innit?
I wasn't. I didn't know anybody before we went, so I was kind of getting to know the girls when we were there. So obviously I would be with Leah and Chris,
Yeah.
because I think because of the age
Yeah.
range.
We gelled and
Yeah, we did. But no, I was in my room at the right time.
Yeah,
I think we were.
Were you?
Yes.
yeah. No, I think generally it was very structured as well.
Yeah, we were.
It wasn't It was very structured.
Yeah, it
you know.
was.
You
Yeah.
were in bed at a certain
Quite
time.
professional, actually, wasn't
And
it?
you had to get up for training, and
Yeah.
so everything was organised. So yeah, it was.
Mm.
Yeah, and I just think, yeah, there was. I can honestly say there was no bullying or anything. Everybody
Oh, good grief!
Everybody
no.
loved each other.
Yeah, it's a good team.
Yeah,
Yeah, good team spirit.
yeah. I was 15, so I was probably all over the place a bit, but yeah.
Next question is from Dave, who is the chair at Fletcher Moss, the club that I'm coaching at. He wants to know, what grassroots clubs did you play for, and were they geared towards girls only football, or did they do both, or boys only?
Well, there was only grassroots
Yeah.
clubs, and I think that's the thing. We're talking 50 years ago, so all clubs were grassroots. They were just girls' clubs, and you played on park pitches because, as well, at the time, women were banned from playing on FA pitches, and that was lifted around 71, 72, but it still took a while before they were even allowed to play on, or embraced to play on, men's pitches. And it was purely Jill's dad, Bob, that actually became a director at Asbury United, and we played on Asbury United's pitch. So
And that was
yeah,
after
it
71.
was park pitches, mud, 2
Slope.
buses to get to training. It was the real grassroots.
We had to fund ourselves.
Yeah.
Nobody gave us any money at all, so it was all
Pay subs
we had to
and
pay subs.
Yeah.
signing on fees and what to do, jumble sales.
Yeah.
Sponsored
Walks is the usual. Sponsored walks is the
Yeah.
usual. We did have some sponsorship in later years by local businesses, and
After the
And-
70s, when the ban was lifted, we could have that.
Yeah.
But before then, we couldn't have
It
it
was.
because it wasn't allowed.
Yeah, because at this time, for 50 years, women were banned from playing on FA pitches.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Until
That's right.
71.
Yeah.
So like you'd hire a park pitch and it was sloping. You'd only get that pitch after the boys' game. You had to
Yeah.
fit in.
Oh yeah, it was always
I know that
last
some
in the
of that
pecking
maybe
order.
still goes on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
always last.
But when you're last on a park pitch,
It's a mud bath.
if you're lucky to have a dressing room, it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
And you were just saying about paying fees, but that's a big contrast to Mexico because you didn't pay anything for that.
No.
No, it's all expenses paid. It was Martini Rossi that sponsored
Yeah.
the whole tournament.
Yeah.
So all the flights, all the hotel accommodation, and saying about the hotel, it was the same hotel that the 1970 men's England team stayed in. So it was the top quality hotel, and everything was just laid on. We didn't have to pay for anything.
We couldn't have done it without Martine.
No,
No,
been
no.
impossible in those days to have done anything.
And yeah, they funded not just us, but the cup itself, solid gold. You know.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was across the all of the tournament. So Argentina, Mexico, Denmark, France, Italy. Nobody, it was all paid for.
Yeah.
And the commercialism was amazing. I mean, a lot of companies like, say, Coca-Cola or whatever, they invested in it. So when you see pictures of our games, you'll see all this sponsorship all around it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was it. This was it. And then came home to it all being shut down.
Yeah, this is what we're saying. It could have carried on from there. It should have, we should have picked it up and run with it, and the game would have grown that much quicker.
Yeah.
We believe anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
It should have
It
been
was
the
there.
platform
Yeah,
Yeah.
for what we're seeing now.
yeah,
So really, women's game now should be further on,
Yeah.
because it was a definite commercial platform, as well as crowd success. People wanted to see the matches all those years ago.
But it's doing
But
great.
it's good now that it's
Yeah.
moved on and
yeah.
it's going in
fantastic
the
now.
right direction.
Yeah. At last.
At last.
Yeah. At last.
Okay, Violet wants to know, were there any girls' football teams at school?
No.
No,
No, definitely not.
none
no.
at all.
No.
No.
Not infants, juniors or seniors, even worse.
No girls that could either play with the boys at school, as in if you were doing PE or games, whatever you call it now, girls could not play football with the boys, and there certainly weren't any girls teams. So
I mean,
my headmaster asked the local authority whether I could play for the boys football team in the junior school, and he was told no.
And also when we came back from Mexico, just talking of schools, it wasn't even mentioned in assembly that any of us had been and done what we'd done in the summer holidays. You know, we'd gone out to Mexico and played in the World Cup. It was in assembly, it wasn't mentioned or anything. So, and I think that's sort of carried us through why we didn't talk about it. Yeah,
because we thought we weren't worthy of.
Or we'd done something wrong or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably one of the other reasons. You know, no one wanted to know about it, so we didn't talk about it.
Yeah. There was no interest by the WFA or latterly the FA.
But I mean, and schools were very regimental in those days. You know, if a boy wanted to do cookery, he wouldn't be allowed either.
No.
Yeah.
Which is, I hope it isn't like that now.
I don't think so. But at least for football, girls' football in school, I was just hearing yesterday at this football conference something like only 40% of girls do football in PE, have the opportunity to, not even do it, and only 60%, or maybe the other way around, get to do extracurricular, like have an actual team to play on. So yes, it's better, but
does it depend on the school, doesn't it?
And yes, if the teacher, you know, is interested in that side of things, quite often as well.
I mean, we've been lucky enough to go to a school, and they were so good for girls football. And they were just brilliant. I've never seen anything like it. And you think, I hope all the schools are like that, but they're not, are they? So.
They have to look at football now for girls. You know, the FA's moved on brilliantly with it, and we can see our England team looking strong and fit and professional, and that's what we need to see carrying on.
Well, I think that the balance of girls wanting to play is tipping now a lot more than girls not wanting to play, you know. The interest is so much more than when, as I say, Chris didn't know anybody else girl played, I didn't know any other girls, that's why we played in the boys team.
I've got to say, the other day I was walking near where I live, and there was 5 or 6 children running with the ball, and one of them was a girl, and she was running rings round them. And it was so heartwarming to see, because there's no pressure on a girl to think she can't do it anymore. So
it's hopefully becoming more normal, as you say, whatever normal is, but it's just sort of accepted. When we played, it wasn't accepted that we wanted to play even.
They need to now make it part of the curriculum, and they should standardise some of the sporting curriculum, and then have rotating sports through schools so that you bring in other sports, but start looking at curriculum, because we've lost our ways over the years actually with our sports in school generally. So once it's part of curriculum, it's the world's the limit, sky's the limit even.
Well, it is. It's like, you hope so. You hope that we've all learned things, because like when we were also at school when we were young, if people had trouble, say reading or writing, they were put in a dancers class. But now we all know that sometimes you might not be academic, but you could be creative. So schools should be looking at this, because everybody in the world has something to give, and that's what schools should look at, and that people that have the opportunities.
A good friend of ours, Lukey, she wants to know, after so many years of being forgotten, do you now feel valued by female players?
I think that's a very good question, and for those that we meet, yes, because when we talk to them and they ask about our football days in the 70s, they're quite amazed at actually that we did play and we carried on playing. So for those that we meet and those that we've played obviously with, there's a very strong bond. So I think it's just the unknown, and of course you don't, unless you're part of a club, you're not interacting with lots of girls' teams at the moment. So But I do think actually when they talk to us, they embrace it.
Yeah, I'd say the same with you, Jill.
Yeah, carry on.
Oh, well, I was just thinking, that like, I would say almost everybody we've met, once they meet us and hear our story rather than whatever anybody else might say, they understand, and we're not trying to big ourselves up. We're just saying what happened, and I haven't met anybody negative, footballers.
No, because as I say, it is a part of the women's football history now, and it's slotted in its right place, and it's a continuation all the way through up until today, and that's where it sits, and now people are hearing about it. They are quite amazed at what was going on back then, because there was so little women's football going on then.
We know,
and they do appreciate what we've done.
Yeah, the three of us know that we were very young, and had there not been such a down on people, there were older girls that were asked, and they would have lost their jobs, so they couldn't go, or they were frightened of being banned, so they didn't go, and so an opportunity arose for us where Harry probably was looking to us in a few years' time. So what we did is for all the girls that played football. It's not just us.
And I think the important thing is football is football. Whether you play now or 10 years ago or 50 years ago or 100 years ago, you're playing because you have a passion and you want to kick a ball, so you never ever lose the passion of wanting to play football. So that sort of ties it all up, that actually it's no different. I mean, whatever decade you play, it's the passion of kicking a ball is what you love, and the people around you that you play with.
There is a ball on there actually, if you still have that passion.
That's the trouble, it's up here, isn't it?
Yeah.
The good news is that ball is quite flat. But still, no, absolutely. If a ball's kicked to you, you automatically play it. You just, it makes you smile. That's what it does. It makes you smile.
Yeah, but it is funny that in your head you think you can still
do it,
but you can't. Sadly.
Yeah. Final question now from me. I know that the people that made this possible were Harry Batt and his wife June. They organised it all. They took you there. It wouldn't have been possible without them.
No.
What would you like to say to Harry now, if you could?
Don't make me cry.
It is actually very emotional about Harry, because we didn't understand what was happening. Okay, we were banned, we moved on. We were very young. We did not know Harry had been banned until this all started again. As in, he was never allowed to start another team and banned for life. And it does make you feel very sad, disappointed, and sort of a bit guilty, because had we understood, in that respect, I wish I'd have been older playing. I would have understood more. Because you couldn't thank him and June enough. His legacy is massive. He wasn't frightened he promoted women's football. He had great belief. He said that one day there will be a female Arsenal, and newspapers scoffed at that. And we have a product next to me, Jill, who was part of the founding Arsenal team.
Yeah.
And that says what belief he had. What an incredible man.
Foresight he had, didn't he?
Yeah, and when we all met up, we were so happy. But I felt overwhelmingly sad about Harry.
Yeah.
And that was the hard thing.
Yeah, so sorry we didn't realise the enormity for him and June, and that we didn't get to talk to them in later years.
It's more important. It's important he has a place in history. For what he did.
This will give him a platform, a legacy that he deserves, because my goodness, if ever anyone had a belief in women's football, he did.
And you can see just from the short time that he was able to do what he did, how far he took it in that short time. So
And it wasn't just sending an email here, email there. It was all letter writing.
it's totally different
He
times.
spoke 6 languages. He connected with people. It was a difficult thing to reach out across the world, and he did it. Yeah.
And then they just got knocked back. I mean, I didn't know Harry as well as Chris and Leah because I didn't play in their team. But just by going by what the girls are saying, you know, it was just such a passion for him and June to be involved with it, and they could see where it could go and where it could lead. And it was all for the good of the women's game. It wasn't for his own gratification or anything.
I wouldn't mind me saying, he lived in a council house, he was bringing children up. He had enough on his plate, and he gave us all that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lost Lionesses.
Thank you, Ella.
I
We are
found
not lost
you.
anymore. We've been
We
found.
were lost in Leah's garden.
Oh, have we got Brewster behind us?
Yeah.
No, you've got Brewster in.
I know, on purpose.
Yeah.
What's the other one called?
Barney.
Oh, right.
Right, great. Well, thanks. It's been lovely.
Thank you, and please
Well,
thank
thanks
all
I
of
hope you
the
can make
Yeah,
something
thanks for the
out of
questions,
it.
everyone.
questions.
Yeah, good
fabulous
questions.
They were
questions,
great
girls.
questions.
It was,
Carry on playing, that's for sure.
yeah.
As long
But
as you
we'll
can.
get to see you play at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll have to
definitely.
come up,
We'll come up and see you.
up north
Yeah,
Up
up
north.
to Manchester.
I'm going up
We
next
know
week.
how to get there.